Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Master Your Life podcast. It's Julie Kelly here. I'm excited for today's podcast episode. If you're new to the podcast, I invite you to subscribe to the podcast. We are a weekly podcast, and this is the place where we help you level up your career, your relationships, and your lifestyle so you truly get to live life on your terms. So today, I want to talk to you about how to get out of overwhelm and into clarity. I know so many people right now are still struggling with the pandemic, losing jobs, being away from family, not being able to travel. Plans have been cancelled. I know I'm in that situation. My wedding has been postponed and potentially going to be cancelled now twice. I can't travel back to Australia to see my family. You know, I get it. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own struggle right now. So there is definitely a lot of overwhelm, worry, concern, just feeling ick, right? Just feeling out of sorts, feeling very uncomfortable within our own skin. And I get it because I feel that way too. And so that's why today's podcast episode is so important. And so if you are feeling overwhelmed, stuck, confused, worried, and overall just not feeling yourself these days, then this podcast episode will help you move into action. And it seems somewhat contradictory, but when we are feeling overwhelmed, the best thing to get us out of that feeling of overwhelmed is by being in action. But usually when we feel overwhelmed, the last thing we feel like doing is being in action. So there is this contradiction that happens. But today I'm going to share with you 3 questions that you need to ask yourself to quickly get out of overwhelm and into action. So here we go. Grab a pen, grab a pad, write these questions down. If you're driving and listening, don't do that. But instead, when you get home, make sure that you take action and do this. Because if you know me and you've been hanging around with me for a while, you know that my philosophy or my mantra in life is knowledge without implementation equals nothing. So there's no point in listening to this podcast or going to conferences and learning from other people if you're not going to implement the strategies that are relevant to your life. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, then I promise you that if you follow these 3 questions and follow the steps I'm about to share with you, you will get out of overwhelm and into clarity and into action, okay? So the first question to ask yourself is this: what's important to me today? Okay? It's a loaded question, right? What's important to me today? What are the top 2 to 3 things that are really important to you today, right now? Not last week, not 2 months ago, not 6 months ago, but today. That's the first thing. Get crystal clear on 2 to 3 to 4 things that are really important to you. And what I mean by that, they have to happen. They have to be part of your life. They're non-negotiables. Okay, so that's another way to ask the question. You know, what are my top 2 to 3 non-negotiables in my life today, given everything that's happened? That's the first question to ask yourself. The second question is, once I know what's important to me, what am I doing about it? Okay, what am I doing about it? And then the last question is, what immediate actions can I take to align my lifestyle and my choices with what's most important to me today? Okay. So I invite you to take the time to honestly answer these 3 questions for yourself, because in doing so, you're going to focus your mind, you'll uncover your top 2 to 3 priorities in your life today, as it stands today, and you'll be able to give yourself a clear roadmap to get you back on track. And the more you do this, the more alive you'll feel, the more alert you'll feel, the more clear your mind will be, and you'll know exactly what you need to do to get what you want. Okay? So these 3 questions are simple, but they're not always easy. Right? There's a big difference between simple and easy in life. The questions are simple. What's most important to me today? What am I doing about it? And what immediate actions do I need to take to make sure that what's important to me comes to fruition in my life? Right? Simple, not easy. Okay. Excuse me. These 3 questions, they require focus, they require intention, and they require commitment. Okay. So now that you know what the 3 questions are, let's role play a few examples, because if you're anything like me, I need to know how. It's like, that's all great. I love those 3 questions, but how do I do this? How do I implement these concepts into my actual life? So the first example I'm going to give you is one of mine. So one of my top priorities right now in my life is my health. So I have a pretty significant neck injury that requires surgery at the end of the year. And I've been living with chronic pain for a couple of years now. And so my health and minimizing the pain that I feel daily is one of my top priorities. So the next question is, what am I doing about it? Well, I go to physical therapy twice a week, and that pretty much keeps me on track. And that's about all I can do right now until I have my surgery. And then the third question is, what action can I take to make sure that my health and minimizing my pain is a priority in my life and in my daily routine? Okay. So I am committed to doing the stretches that are given to me by my therapist. I am committed to only being on the computer for 4 hours a day, which is really difficult for me because I could be on the computer for, 15, 16 hours a day working on my business and, doing all sorts of things. So I'm committed, and I am restricting myself to only being on the computer for 4 hours a day because that's what my health needs. That's how I alleviate and minimize my pain. And the last thing that I have to remember and commit to is to maintain good posture. Okay. So all of these things is what I need to do to make sure that my priority of my health and pain reduction come to fruition in my life. Okay. One example. Let's stick with the idea of health being one of your top priorities, but let's say we're all about losing 20 kilos or 20 pounds. Okay. So that's one of your top priorities. The question is, what are you doing about it? So maybe the answer is, well, I've tried dieting, but it doesn't really work. So the third question, what do I need to do right now? What immediate action do I need to do to make sure that I can be on track to lose those 20 pounds? Okay. So examples could look like this. I'm going to start eating for nutrition versus eating for instant gratification or taste, right? Because the things that taste good and that are quick and easy to pick up while we're on the road, they fill the hole, right? That's true, but they don't provide usually the best nutrition. So make that commitment, make that choice to only eat for nutrition rather than to eat for what tastes good or looks good, okay? Another thing you could do is to commit to 30 minutes of exercise at least 3 times per week. And stop eating by 8 p.m. every single night, and you're going to eliminate all sugars from your diet for at least 30 days. Okay. So I hope you're starting to see that there are specific actions that you need to take to make sure that one of your top priorities actually comes to fruition. That's the only way you're going to get results. It's the only way to get out of overwhelm, is by clarifying what you want, what you need to do, and what you're committed to do to make sure that it comes to fruition. Simple, not easy. One more example. Let's say family is one of your top priorities, and this is a big one for most people. So family is my top priority. What am I doing right now about it? Well, right now I'm kind of just getting by, right? I'm homeschooling my kids. My husband's at home as well. We're constantly in each other's faces 24/7. So we're just doing what we got to do to get by. But ideally, I would love to have more quality time with my family, right? They are my priority, but we're getting on each other's nerves. How do I make family and family time a priority? Okay. With your immediate family, like the people that are in your household, one thing that I love to do, because my fiance is addicted to his cell phone and I'm constantly talking to him, and he's a true man, right? He can only do one thing at one time. So if he's on his phone doing something, he cannot hear me. And I have a joke now. I sing a little song. I'm like, talking to myself, right? And every time he hears me sing that song, he knows that he's not listening to me, right? So it's become a thing. And so in our household, we have cell phone free hours, right? So we both agree on a mutually beneficial time where neither one of us is going to answer our phone or be on our phone. And so that gives us a period of time every day to connect to one another, to have quality time with one another, right? So that is something I think is really important and really easy to implement in any household, especially if you've got kids that are on their cell phones all the time, all right? You could change your environment for quality time. So I know we're all sort of stuck at home at the moment, but if you've got a backyard, go and have dinner al fresco in the backyard, for instance. Just changing your environment, changing your state has a huge impact on the quality of your relationships, especially if you're at home 24/7. And that could also mean going for a walk, going for a bike ride as a family, right? Going to a park, if that's allowed where you live right now, and getting some fresh air, taking the dog, throwing the frisbee, you know, just getting out and about and having that quality, uninterrupted time in a different environment to your household. It's really, really powerful. Another example could be that maybe if you do have children, one thing you could do as a family to keep them entertained and engaged and to connect as a family unit is that once a week, each child picks a project that the whole family has to do. It could be something creative, artistic, it could be a written project, it could be just something that you do, like for instance, maybe at the dinner table, you all just go around the table and say one thing that you're grateful for, right? It's all about just engaging and connecting with one another and remembering that the people in our lives are our most important asset. And yeah, we get on each other's nerves and we're tired of seeing each other 24/7, but this isn't going to last forever. And so this is a great opportunity to really hone in on, you know, building a really strong connection and foundation with your spouse and your children amidst the madness that we're in, right? So let's say you have extended family, right? So people that you don't see, but they're still important to you, parents, grandchildren, whatever it may be. So you could commit to FaceTiming with them or Zooming with them once a week, right? That could be another thing that you commit to doing. Or you could even choose to send a handwritten card or handwritten letter. And, you know, that's an art that's being lost right now. But how amazing would it be if a parent is sort of isolated and stuck at home for the last 4 months and they receive a handwritten letter from you or from the children, their grandchildren? That would just make their day. So we need to get a little bit more creative about how we actually make these things come to fruition into our lives and how we actually prioritize our priorities. Okay. I'm going to give you one final example and we'll wrap this up. So let's say career advancement is something that's really important to you right now. What are you doing about it? Let's say nothing. What do you need to do to make career advancement something that happens in your life? Okay, a couple of different things. Update your resume. You could brush up on your skills, or even, you know, gain some new skills. And you can get free courses on platforms like Udemy, Coursera, Teachable, LinkedIn Learning, even YouTube has got unlimited potential for you to learn a new skill or brush up on a skill that you really want to polish up on, right? You could then make a list of all the companies that you want to work for. You could research these companies, see what opportunities they have available, and then reach out and start building connections, start building relationships with the people at these companies that could potentially hire you in the future. And if you have the time, a really powerful way to advance your career is to offer your expertise for free and to showcase what you have to offer to a potential to a potential employer. So, you know, that's something that is really powerful. Very few people do it. But imagine if you are job hunting at the moment, or you want to go to the next level. Like, how am I going to do this in the middle of a pandemic? Well, like I said, reach out to the companies that you want to be connected to, find the right people, connect with them, build a relationship with them, build rapport with them, and then offer to volunteer your services or offer to consult on a project for free so that they get a taste and a feel for your expertise, your personality, and what you have to offer. And a lot of times you're actually able to get jobs that aren't even advertised just by showing initiative like that and going the extra mile. Because as we know, most people don't do this. Most people are in the masses, right? I think it's like 98% of society does the same old as everybody else. But I know if you're listening to the Master Your Life podcast, then you want more for your life. You want to master your life and you want to be in that top 2 to 3% of society. And so by coloring outside the lines and taking the initiative and stepping outside of your comfort zone is an amazing way to really elevate your life very quickly to another level where, you know, the elite play, right? I'm not talking about the elite like people that are privileged or wealthy or anything like that. I'm talking about people that are rich in their minds, people that are rich in their choices, rich in their attitude and their perspective on life, right? These are the people that really know how to take life, you know, in both hands and really make the most of it, right? So I want you to think about whatever your top priorities are right now. What are you doing about it? And what do you need to do to make sure that those priorities come to fruition in your life? They are part of your daily routine. Those goals are being met. So these three questions work and apply to any priority in your life. So I've given you a couple of examples, and granted, they may not relate to you, but whatever your situation is, whatever your priority is, these three questions will still pertain to that. So like I said, get out a pad and pen and start identifying what's important to you, and honestly ask yourself, what have you been doing about it? Or what are you doing about it in real time, like right now? This week, what have you been doing about those priorities? And then map out 3 to 5 actions that you need to take to align your goals with your daily routine. All right. And in doing so, you will move out of feeling overwhelmed and into an energized, clear headspace that will put your body into motion and into a state of clarity. Okay. So anytime we feel overwhelmed, our minds are usually running around in circles going nowhere. But when you take the time to stop, focus, prioritize, and move into action, it is impossible to feel overwhelmed. So give it a try. Share this podcast episode with family and friends who need to hear this message. And please, I invite you to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're tuning in from today. And I would love to hear what your top 2 to 3 priorities are, what you're going to do about it, and how it's actually coming to fruition in your life. So you can follow me on Facebook. I'm at facebook.com/I'm Julie C. Kelly. You can connect with me on Instagram at Julie C. Kelly. You can email me at julie@julieCkelly.com. And of course, you can leave a comment on the podcast wherever you're tuning in from, and I will personally see that and respond to you. And I wish you all the very best. And as always, sending you much love, much strength. Until next time, be well, my loves. Bye-bye.